Hi, welcome to Dark Souls. It's kind of a shit show to newcomers, so I have made a video to help the newbies out with all this confusing shit show of a game that I hope you will love by the end of it because it is truly a masterpiece. So I've gathered a list of things to help newcomers out a little bit. So we'll be going through starter class and how that affects your playthrough, your statistics and see what those do for your different, weapons and magical things that you're trying to do. And then we'll go through and see equipment that you can get on early in the game that really does help you and kind of put you ahead so that way you don't get as fucked up. And we'll also be going through some collectibles and some rings and some other miscellaneous items to also help progress your character and your build forward. And lastly, we will be going through helpful NPCs you can find on your playthrough to get you some really good items right off the bat. The first thing that we'll be going over is starter class. And to new players, it might be kind of a shit show and a complicated jumble of messes, but I can guarantee you that it's nothing to be super scared about. It really actually doesn't matter. There are a couple classes that can help you get a build early on in the game, but it's not a distinct enough difference for it to truly matter later on. Maybe for the first couple of levels you get an increase in strength, so it's nothing too crazy, so pick whatever class you want. Though I will warn you, there is one class that has a distinct difference on everything else. The Thief starts with the Master Key, which is something we'll be getting into a bit later, but this allows you to kind of progress and get some shortcuts on later in the game. So if you are looking to kind of sneak past some points of the game, this is kind of the starter class you want to start with. Your starting gift is somewhat kind of the same thing. There are not a lot of big changes to your entire game after you pick something like this. And as you'll notice, the Master Key, as I mentioned previously, is also in your starter gifts. So yes, it does unlock some shortcuts and does allow you to get to certain points in the game faster, but it doesn't unlock anything super exclusive besides saving you a couple hours of playtime. Don't worry, if you didn't start with the Master Key as your starting gift or choose the Thief class, then you can buy the Master Key off of a character later on in the game. You progress through a certain point and he does spawn at Firelink Shrine, and you can buy it off for a decent amount of souls. So you're not missing out on anything besides maybe just a couple shortcuts. So the stats in this game are a lot and very integral to your playthrough with little to no explanation on what all of them do. So that is kind of why I'm here and kind of why I'm making this video, so that way players don't get fucked up and confused. So statistics are probably the most complicated part of the game to newer players, and I'm not gonna lie, when I first started playing the game, this was probably the thing that I had the most hard time with. Not the bosses, not the gameplay, not anything, but understanding the stats was something I had a difficult time, because my friends were just like, oh, you'll just see, So I am here to kind of explain to you what these do, so that way you can actually understand what you're leveling instead of kind of just figuring it out as you go along. Vitality and Endurance are kind of grouped together, and what these level is your bars in the top left of your screen. Now, the red bar is correlated to Vitality, which is your health bar, which is pretty self-explanatory. It increases the amount of times you can get hit before you die. The green bar is correlated to your endurance, and what this does is allows you to increase the amount of rolls you have before you get tired, basically. Another thing that the endurance has that other games kind of move on and kind of complicate past is your equip load. Now, the equip load is the amount of equipment that you can have in your inventory before you start heavy rolling, which is a mechanic where you basically are so heavy that you roll at a sluggish pace, and it's terrible. It's absolutely garbage, but it's a system that they put in place, so if you level your endurance, you do increase your equip load, so that way you can get on some heavy armor sets later on in the game. I put strength and dex into kind of the same category because they do practically the same thing. Your weapons will have a certain requirement of either strength or dexterity that allows you to use them. So for example, a greatsword might have 30 strength and only 16 dex for it to actually be weld properly. You can hold it and you can swing it when you do not have the required stats, but not only is it slow, it does no damage. So you need to level it up to actually have a good weapon, so that way you don't, flail around and look retarded. Intelligence and Faith are more of your magical build kind of things. Intelligence goes towards your sorceries, while Faith goes towards your miracles. Like weapons, spells have a certain amount of faith and or intelligence that are required to use that spell, or sorcery, or miracle, or pyromancy. These things allow you to not only throw or cast this specific spell, but also it scales damage. So the more intelligence you have for a magic spell, the more damage it does. So if you are looking to increase your damage output, level these things up. Attunement is also more for these spell casting builds, as it does increase the amount of spells you can have in your inventory at once, and this allows you to obviously have more spells in your inventory, but also to use bigger spells later on in the game that require more than just one attunement slot. Resistance and luck are there to throw off new players, so that way they might level things up as kind of a goof. So resistance isn't useful because it only kind of boosts your resistances to certain things, and there are not enough things in this game for resistance to really be active towards. So I've also gathered a list of equipment and early game items that will help anybody on their playthrough. Some of these weapons are super overpowered weapons throughout the entire game. Some are super overpowered early game, but then have a damage drop off. So if you're still looking for that challenge late game for the harder bosses, then you will still get that experience. And some are just great weapons to have that give a right amount of challenge, but the right amount of player adaptability. So the first up are these Black Knight weapons. These Black Knight weapons are fantastic. The only downside to this is if you kill the enemies and they do not drop the weapon, then you will have to just kind of suck it up because they do not respawn, and you will be able to get the weapons later on in the game, but at that point in time it will be kind of useless and really not that helpful. However, if you haven't killed these guys, it is a great opportunity to go try and kill them, because if you do, you have a really good chance of getting a really good weapon that will help you throughout your playthrough. So the first Black Knight you can come across, depending on if you have the Master Key, is right beneath the Darkroot Basin. So you can kind of go through this little area here. I will show a little time lapse of me going down there. But you can take this little path, use the Master Key like this, and kill this Black Knight, and it will drop the Black Knight Halberd, which is what you will see in a lot of the speedruns that happen. It's because it is an easy weapon to get, it's a super easy guy to kill and read and parry and everything. So if you're looking to not only get a good weapon, but also kind of practice your parrying skills, this is a great item / enemy to go up and try to fight. The next Black Knight is next to the Taurus Demon, which if you do not have the Master Key, you will probably stumble across anyway. He is decently hidden. If you're paying attention and kind of go down these stairs right beneath the Taurus Demon, you will kind of find him, and if you kill him, he gives you the Black Knight Greatsword. The Black Knight Greatsword is a fantastic weapon. It does a lot of damage and doesn't have too slow of a moveset for being a greatsword, and it is a great rounded weapon, and it is fantastic. The next Black Knight you will probably come across is the one right in front of the boar. Now this one also drops the Black Knight Greatsword, so if you are really hard set on getting this specific weapon, you have two of them in early game that you can go and kill. Now you go up this little spiral staircase right here, then you kill him, and if he doesn't drop it, it's whatever, but if it does, then you have a great weapon on your hands. So the next item on our list is the Drake Sword. Now this is a great weapon early game, however if you go into late game, it does have a damage drop off as the upgrade materials are very rare. So the way you receive this weapon is probably one of the more unique ways to get a weapon in the game. So on your playthrough you do run across this bridge to get to the shortcut to unlock a bonfire, and on this bridge there's a dragon. If you get a bow and arrows and go underneath the bridge and you shoot the tail of the dragon around 50 times, the Drake Sword drops. So I think honestly this is a great weapon to choose and use for your first couple hours of the playthrough. It is easy to get and is not too grindy, and it is a great weapon However, there's a huge damage drop off, so you should probably start upgrading another weapon, so that way when you do hit that damage null and void, then you do have a spare and a backup, so that way, you don't fall on your face. The next weapon on our list is probably my favorite, and it is consistent throughout all of the Dark Souls games and Elden Ring, and that is the Zweihander. The Zweihander is basically just a giant greatsword that you can flail around and just absolutely body people. It is found really early in the game in the graveyard right next to Firelink Shrine. However, it does take a little bit of stats to pump to actually wield the weapon, but as soon as you do, you'll be knocking down those motherfuckers like there's no tomorrow. The next weapon is the Uchi-Katana. If you're an anime fan, this one's for you because it is one of the only weapons that do bleed buildup in the game. So you get this by killing the undead merchant right next to the undead parish. So you literally go down this secret staircase beneath the barrels, and then you kill this guy, and then he drops the Uchi-Katana. Now this is a fantastic weapon because it scales with dexterity, and it does bleed buildup, which is very rare in this game. There are only a couple other weapons that actually do bleed buildup. The last weapon we have on our list is really not a weapon that is fantastic, but it is one that I have used in subsequent playthroughs and is super helpful and has a good moveset. So if you were heart set on getting the Black Knight Halberd and you didn't get the drop, there is still a halberd next to the gate right before the Bell Gargoyles. This has a great moveset and scales really nicely and is super easy to upgrade. So if you were super heart set on getting that weapon, this is a really good replacement for that. And later on in the game, you will find a better version of this. So if you just stick it out and upgrade this, then you will be on your way to just stabbing people, I guess. Now, on the equipment side, there's only one other thing besides weapons that is super useful in the game, and that is the Grass Crest Shield. Now, I don't think I've gone through a single playthrough without using the Grass Crest Shield. It is absolutely fantastic. When it's equipped and on your back or on your offhand, it will increase stamina regen to a certain extent, and it only blocks like 80% of the damage, but it is still great to have as regen, and as somebody who two-hands weapons anyways, it's good to have on your back to just, have that extra stamina build up. So, moving on to our next segment, it is collectibles. I've gathered a list of some things that will help you early game and late game that you can pick up that will help your playthrough immensely that I wish I had done my first playthrough. So Firekeeper souls are something you'll find across the map and across the game, and once you receive these things, you go to any Firekeeper, give it to them, and it will increase the amount of health your Estus Flask recharges. Now this is pretty much integral to the entirety of the game, and you will come across quite a few of them, so when you do, make sure to give them, and make sure you get that nice little upgrade to your Estus Flask. Another thing you'll find around the game immensely are humanities. Now, humanities are very important because it is basically how you access any of the online play. The way humanity works is if you use them, there's a number in the top left of your screen that will increase. Now, when this number increases, this is the amount of humanity you have, obviously. However, if you go to a bonfire and reverse your hollowing, then you'll turn from a fucking dried up raisin into a normal human being with abs. Because we all have those, apparently. Anyway, reversing your hollowing allows you to kindle a bonfire, which allows you to increase the amount of charges your Estus has. So that way it'll increase from 5 to 10 at any bonfire you want. There's something you can get up later on in the game that allows you to increase it to a max of 20, but that is for you to kind of find out and explore for. Another side effect of being human is that you can be invaded by other players. This basically means other players will come into your world and kill you and dance on you and point down. It sucks. I'm not gonna lie. As a new player, try to stay as a fucking dried up raisin as long as possible so that way you don't get absolutely destroyed by people who do not leave their house and only do Dark Souls PvP. However, Dark Souls 1 doesn't really have a huge PvP following, so you should be fine either way. It's just warning, if you are playing later games, then definitely be aware of this. So there are cool little rocks you can collect. These are soapstones, and these allow you to do anything online, whether that be summon other players to help you defeat bosses, put your summon sign down so you can go help other people defeat bosses, or you can be a little miscreant, a little goofy guy, and go into other people's worlds and just straight up kill them. I talked about invading earlier, and this is how you do that. So there are 3 different colors of these soapstones. Oranges allow you to display messages on the ground so other people can laugh at your terrible jokes. White, that allows you to put your summon sign down so that way you can be summoned into Otherworld to either help somebody clear an area or to defeat a boss. The red soapstone allows you to put a sign down that allows other players to summon you into their world, and when you are in their world, you PvP them. And when you PvP them, you get fucking destroyed because the people on this game have no fucking life, like me. But I suck at PvP, so I don't know what to say to that, honestly. The orange soapstone can be bought off of the Undead Merchant next to the Undead Parish. And if you remember, that is the guy who drops the Uchikatana. Now, if you kill him, then he does still drop the soapstone, so if you're worried about it, you can get it for free. So, there you go. The white soapstone is dropped by our Lord and Savior, Solaire. You will come across him right before the Dragon Bridge, and he is just staring up at the sun with those long, smirking, sexy eyes. And you will kind of just chill with him. He's a vibe. He's a great NPC, and we'll be getting to him a little bit later as well. So, there you go. The last little collectible that I would recommend you gather, although this is not as important as all the other ones, are Purging Stones, and they really just cure Curse, which is a very specific effect that happens in the game. Believe me, you will thank me later. Just grab 1 or 2 and then you'll be set. So, alongside of equipment, there are rings that you can gather, and I decided to put them in a separate category because there are so many of them that do so many different things that I figured it would probably be better for their own little category. The first one I recommend you gathering is the Fap Ring. Now this is found by a little sneaky guy right before the Bell Gargoyles, and if you beat them, then he goes straight down to Firelink Shrine, and if you have the Master Key, you can rescue him and he goes down there early. So, basically, you kill him and get a ring that increases your health and stamina, which is a great deal overall. Though I do recommend you going to kill this guy, because if you do let him live, he does go and kill your Firekeeper, and it kind of fucks up your whole Firelink Shrine vibe, and kind of disables you from making s'mores. So, fuck that guy. The Blue Tearstone Ring is next on the list. The Blue Tearstone Ring is located behind the Black Knight next to the Taurus Demon. This ring boosts your defense while your health is low, and I don't really need to describe why this ring is good. It is pretty self-explanatory, and it helps any new players that are kind of struggling with a boss or any enemies, or genuinely just recovering from a big blow. It's super helpful. The next 2 I kind of clumped together because I figured they go hand in hand with them boosting sorceries and being sold by the same person. The Dragon Crest rings are a fantastic way to boost your sorceries if you are doing a sorcery build. So one of these rings increases the amount of damage that the spell or sorcery does, however the other one increases the length. So if it is an effect, then it increases the effect length, however if it's pure raw damage, then it just increases that as well. So these are great rings to have, and they are sold like rigs, which you can find pretty easily. He's not super hard to track down and find, and we will get into that later. So the last little segment we'll have on this video is the characters / NPCs. Now these are super helpful people that you can go and talk to either buy equipment or items off of, or genuinely just vibe with them. I love you, Solaire. You are just calling me, please. I left you my number, and I'm interested in going out. Now, as I previously mentioned, Griggs sold those rings for magic, and that does kind of stick as a theme with this character. He does sell you sorceries and different kind of magical items that you can have throughout the entire game. So, great character, and he is located down in the lower Undead Burg, behind this door specifically, so if you're not getting fucked up by the dogs down there, because they absolutely fucking suck. If you're not getting fucked up by those, he is right there, and you talk to him, and then he goes right back up to Firelink. Petrus is also a really good one for getting magical items. He's specifically for miracles, and he spawns pretty much straight at Firelink Shrine when you first start. So he is super easy to get the starter equipment for miracles and everything off. So honestly, if you decided to switch from a knight to a mage or a miracle worker, then he is the guy for you. So if you want to become a miracle worker and save your pet dog with the heal spell, this is the guy for you. On the bridge before the dragon, I mentioned Solaire earlier. He is a great NPC to talk to and make friends with because you can summon him to defeat some of the harder bosses later on in the game, including the last boss. He is the only NPC that really can go with you to the end of the game, and he is fantastic to have. So if you are looking for somebody to kind of buddy with, he is for you. Big Hat Logan's somebody you can find later on in the game. He's in Sen's Fortress, and you kind of have to do something super specific to get to him. And if you have the Master Key, it's super easy to just unlock his cage, and he sells you some super overpowered sorceries, and if you do his quest line, you will have the best magic in the game. So if you progress the game, you will find Andre the Blacksmith. He is one of the more beloved characters in the game, and he does make returns in Dark Souls 3. So that's cool. We like him. So he upgrades your weapons, armor, and shields and everything. So he's basically any blacksmith in any video game. So yeah, but he's shirtless, and he's kind of hot, so it's okay. Once you ring the first bell, you will come across this weird guy T-posing at the bottom of the bell tower. Now this is Oswald. He doesn't really seem super cool or super important right now, but if you join a covenant and we're like, hey, fuck you, and like murder the fucking top person of the covenant, then you can go to him and be like, hey bro, I'm sorry, and he'll be like, okay, and then nobody will be mad at you anymore. So he relieves everything that you have done wrong in your covenants, so he, as the game puts it, relieves your sins, which is super intense way of putting it, but I guess this is how you do it. So this is a great thing to kind of have in your back pocket, or if you want to kill him, just go for it. It probably won't change your playthrough that much, especially your first one. So there you go. And the last one is the Firekeeper. I mentioned her earlier, but this basically allows you to upgrade your Estus flasks, and there are different Firekeepers throughout the game that allow you to do this. And with any bonfire with a Firekeeper, it does automatically max out your Estus limit. So if you get that item later on in the game that allows you to have a maximum of 20 Estus flasks, any Firekeeper bonfire will have an automatic of 20 Estus flasks without needing to kindle. So there you go. So that was my advice to you guys, and I hope I helped some newcomers out with some issues or some challenges that they might have been facing. That was kind of my goal with this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something, and if you picked up something that is helpful to your playthrough, please comment it down there, man. I appreciate it. This is a great game, and I want people to enjoy it and not basically get mad at it because some of the things are a little bit not friendly to new players. So I want new players to enjoy the game and develop a passion for it like I do. I appreciate you guys for watching the video. This is the first one I've actually posted on my channel, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I am planning on doing a whole lot of different kind of content. However, it is all up to you guys to a certain extent. I do want to make things that you guys will watch. So if you guys like this video, then please comment, like, do whatever. Show me that you guys like this content, and I will continue to do it for you guys. I have a couple other videos in the working that I'm planning on, so if you guys want to see those, then show it, man. Like, I want to do this, and I want to basically help you guys and kind of put my creative outlet to something kind of useful instead of just playing a shit ton of Minecraft, which, yeah, that's gonna happen anyway, but that's kind of where I'm at. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me how it was. If it was the biggest piece of dog shit you've ever fucking seen on this platform, then be sure to comment that, honestly. I agree. So, Alright, well, you guys have a good day, night, evening, morning, whatever, whenever you watch this video, or if you do watch this video, I don't fucking know. But anyway, have a good time. I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye-bye.